You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News Source. We're live here at the Legacy420.com news desk, and you'll find us on paceradio.net and cbgtv.com. Good morning, Rev Kelly. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Al. Happy Monday morning. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. And just so you know, weather-wise, it's nice and sunny out here right now.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying it. As you can see, I'm outside.
I can hear the birds. It sounds nice.
But you were slightly frozen there, so I didn't catch it all.
Oh, I said I can hear the birds. It sounds wonderful.
Oh, great. Super good. So the birds sometimes, they can get really rowdy, get noisy around here, I'll tell you. Especially if a cat comes walking along, right?
Yes, or a woodpecker.
Yeah, exactly. All right, what do you say? We get on with the news?
Sounds great.
All right, here we go. First story. Ontario Cannabis Store joins calls to raise Canada's THC edible cap. And this comes to us from MJ Biz Daily.
Excellent. Pressure is growing on the Canadian government to adjust the THC limit governing cannabis edibles, with the country's largest adult use wholesaler calling on the nation's marijuana regulator to consider such a move.
In a position paper sent to Health Canada, the Ontario Cannabis Store also urged the agency to address the cannabis industry's unsustainable environmental footprint, particularly the impact of packaging and single-use plastics.
In recommending a
hike in the THC edible cap. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. There's a little bit of a delay here, Al. I'm so sorry.
No problem. In recommending a hike in the THC edible caps, the OCS joins a growing chorus of voices urging a change.
The current cap is set at 10 milligrams per package, a level critics say is too low to displace the illicit market, saying were Health Canada to increase the current limit, for example, from 10 milligrams to 50 milligrams per package, a low THC limit for edible cannabis could be maintained relative to other legal product classes and illegal products, while offering products that compete with illegal alternatives, reducing health risks associated with their use. That comes from an OCS spokesperson.
Yes, and I was actually, when I read that paragraph, I was quite surprised to see that they had suggested 50 milligrams package.
That's excellent.
I expected half that. Like I thought that maybe they might come out with 25, as a recommendation to anybody, and who knows what the government will come out with. But for them to come up with the 50 milligrams, obviously that's much better than the 10.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. They say this will allow producers to achieve greater economics of scale to drive down costs. The OCS position paper, Opportunities to Improve the Canadian Federal Cannabis Framework, identifies challenges from the government-owned wholesalers' perspective and offers suggestions for Health Canada to consider amid its ongoing review of the country's legal cannabis framework. And let's not forget that the OCS is the largest cannabis company in Canada.
Absolutely.
Most profitable.
They make a lot of money. Now, in May, the nation's Federal Competition Bureau released a set of recommendations that included a call for Health Canada to consider increasing THC limits on cannabis edibles.
And in its own submission to Health Canada review panel, the Canadian Chamber of Commerce suggested that increasing the THC limits to 100 milligrams.
Whoa.
Wow. I didn't know about that one. per package could minimize harm to the public by making the legal industry more competitive with the illicit market. 100 milligrams from
Yep.
the Canadian Chamber of Commerce.
Wow.
Wow, way to go. Way to
Whew.
go.
Now, Omer Khan, he is the Chief Communications and Public Affairs Officers for Calgary, Alberta-based cannabis retailer High Tide. He says that increasing the THC limit in edibles packages is a logical step. He's quoted as saying, "I don't think it's divorced from public health. We have to understand that there are a lot of illicit market edibles available right now." There
Mm.
certainly are, even higher than those 100 milligrams.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, I've seen examples of some edibles currently available online for up to 900 milligrams of THC, and many of these are packaging clearly marked towards youth and kids. Khan noted in a 2022 study conducted by the OCS and the OPP outlining the agency's analysis of legal and illegal cannabis edible products.
The analysis found that illegal products contain significantly less THC than advertised and contain pesticides not authorized for use on cannabis. To me, at face value, that poses a significant risk to public health, he says.
And the OCS report also said Canada's cannabis packaging rules have contributed to an unsustainable environmental footprint for the legal industry. The wholesaler wants the government to explore opportunities to reduce the environmental impact of cannabis packaging.
Absolutely. The OCS position paper says most cannabis packaging used single-use plastic containers, which in many cases are not recycled. They can't be recycled. Moving on to the OCS and the Health Canada consideration. These are important.
Yeah, they said taking steps to improve the recyclability of cannabis packaging, permitting the recycling instructions or symbols on packages, supporting producer competitiveness by creating financial incentives to package products using renewable materials.
Oh, I like that. Very sustainability. The
Mhm.
OCS spokesperson said the legal industry's contribution to single-use plastic waste has been a consistent focus of criticism. Absolutely, it was. It is.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, the spokesperson says that the OCS is recommending Health Canada leverage the legislative review process to align its packaging requirements with the federal government's broader mandate to implement a national ban on harmful single-use plastics and achieve zero plastic waste by 2030.
Wow, that would be amazing. There's some more recommendations, including expanding brand preference promotions for edible cannabis and cannabis topicals. I like that.
Yeah, clarifying the permissibility of online product reviews for legal retailers and adjusting product label requirements.
They want to change the label requirements for CBD dominant products and adjust the concentration statement for ingestible cannabis extracts. Okay.
That means, yeah. Well, I wonder if that would be covered under the other end of the 100
Oh,
milligrams.
yeah. Ooh, maybe.
And establishing national standards for third-party testing, and yeah, because there's a lot going on that
Mhm.
third-party testing about how accurate some of it is. There's been articles on that,
Yeah.
and I see it, on social media where people are talking about it
Mhm.
quite often. So, all right, next story. This one comes to us from CTV News. New Indigenous-owned cannabis store opens in Stratford without a license.
Wow. Organic Solutions in Stratford's a new shop that sells cannabis, but unlike others in the city, it's operating without a license from the province.
Yeah, the owner is Indigenous and said it is within the Charter of Rights to operate the store on traditional land. He says the co-owner Kirk Marquette. He says the city of Stratford now acknowledges now that they're on traditional land. So under the Charter of Rights, Section 25 and 35, that allows an Indigenous person to set up a trading post.
That's right.
That's
Organic
right.
Solutions is one of several hundred unlicensed stores in Canada. The owner said it's about more than just selling cannabis.
What's unique is that I deal with people with a holistic approach. I'm just not looking to sell them the medicine. I'm looking at why they want to use the medicine, and it might not be cannabis that they actually need, says one of the other owners, Thomas Adam Jackson.
Now, Jackson said it's about exercising his treaty rights and constitutional rights. All of their products are indigenous grown and lab tested before sale. That's according to the owners. But being unlicensed means they have fewer restraints on products and pricing.
He says our pricing is by far better than the OCS's. Our product, from all my customers who come in and out, they all say it's much better.
Wow. The owners of the store said they aren't doing anything illegal, but some of their competitors said what they're doing is unfair. Some local cannabis retailers who did not want to do an interview told CTV News that they feel it's unfair advantage that the store can sell stronger products for a cheaper price.
Well, let's hope that Health Canada listens to the Ontario Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
Right. And increases those levels to 100. The owners of the organic solution said that they are not trying to undercut anyone. Marquardt says they got a visit from Stratford Police earlier, but they haven't since.
In a statement, Stratford Police said they recognize the complexities of the issue and want to ensure that all lawful rights are taken into consideration. Marquette said they don't anticipate any more issues with the city police.
There you go. Yeah, we are selling a legal product. We're not harming anyone. I just hope more people come and shop here.
There we go.
There you go.
That looks like some fine orange cream sizzle right there. Might have to go to Stratford.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, just so you know, we got a message. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, Natalie.
How are you? Natalie is a recent guest on the Pace Radio Show.
Wonderful.
All right, on to the next story. And this one comes to us from StratCan. And the headline on that one says, Health Canada began testing of legal and illegal cannabis.
Right, Health Canada is launching a new data gathering program on cannabis markets in Canada that's going to include sampling and testing of both legal and illegal products that are currently in the market.
The federal agency says that the new cannabis data gathering program will allow it to proactively collect information on the legal and illicit cannabis markets in Canada, focusing on providing Canadians with more accurate info about cannabis health and safety risks.
The federal government has gathered data on the legal and illegal cannabis markets for several years. This approach represents a new step towards more proactive data gathering on products in the market, both licit and illicit.
Yeah, I wonder if there's if they find product in the illicit market that is really bad, will they still notify the public via by the product's name or whatever, so that people know, or they're just going to keep this data and then release it in a year time and tell everybody then after it's already been consumed?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a good question.
Yeah. Let's see. As part of the program, Health Canada's Regulatory Operations and Enforcement Branch, Cannabis Laboratory will randomly purchase cannabis products from authorized retailers in Canada. It will also work with various law enforcement agencies to test samples of illicit cannabis products.
The lab will test for THC and CBD levels, specific analytes of interest, and chemical or microbiological contaminants such as pesticides, molds, etc.
Yeah. The agency will publish reports on their findings, removing any references to product, brand, and license holder names. So there's the answer to my question. No. However, if the program identifies deficiencies with any legal products they will analyze, they will take appropriate compliance and enforcement actions to mitigate health and safety risks if necessary. But they won't tell you if it's an illicit product. They're not going to tell anybody.
Yes.
About it. Like,
interesting. I'd like to know that information. That would be good data.
Why wouldn't they tell? Well, yeah. Why wouldn't they tell people that there's something on the market that's really dangerous to them?
Yeah.
Like, as far as why,
I feel like they would have a duty
and what it is.
Yeah, it should be a requirement. Health Canada says the program will support their efforts to ensure that legal cannabis products available on the Canadian market meet the requirements set out in the Act and the regulations.
Health Canada has also began work on guidance on licenses on cannabis product containing uh, intoxicating cannabinoids other than THC, and a consumer information sheet on intoxicating cannabinoids other than delta 9 THC. That'd be interesting.
Yes.
And
Several
are they going to be saying like delta 8, which doesn't come from the plant, but it's processed to get there?
synthetic, right? Yuck.
But they
Some-
won't tell you. They won't. But they won't tell you about a product that's out there that's on the illicit market that is bad for you. That's how.
They won't.
All right.
Several
Sorry.
provinces have released testing results of illicit products shared via law enforcement actions. In 2022, Ontario shared a study that showed illicit edibles have significantly less THC than advertised and high levels of pesticides. New Brunswick and British Columbia have also released similar testing results from illicit products.
Yeah. Well, out
There you
them.
go. Tell us
Out
their
them.
names.
Out them. Out them. No, that's one way of letting people know, and they won't go
Yep.
buy that product, and then that person may, or that company may, because no one's buying the product. So.
Right.
Yeah. The industry is also calling on greater oversight of THC levels. The C45 Quality Assurance, an industry group representing quality assurance professionals and others working in the cannabis industry in Canada, said the announcement is a welcome one.
Saying the C45 Quality Association welcomes Health Canada's new initiative to illuminate the cannabis industry through its new cannabis data gathering program. That comes from Tom Olanoski. He's the board chair for C45. This proactive approach will improve transparency in product composition for both legal and illicit cannabis products, assuring Canadians of the quality controlled supply of cannabis in the regulated market. The accountability this program instills will reinforce trust in the Canadian legal cannabis industry, while the insights gathered will help us better understand and address any potential health and safety risks associated with cannabis consumption, particularly when it comes to illicit cannabis products. This is a substantial step towards a more informed and responsible cannabis marketplace in Canada.
Yeah. Everybody's worried about the dangers of the illicit product.
Mhm.
Out them.
I know.
Just
I
don't
want
give
this.
everybody a clean, or
Tell
not
us the
clean, but
names.
paint everybody with the same brush. Out them.
They would be quick to tell us if a legal cannabis product was using bad
Yeah, they're going. Yeah,
pesticides or, right?
yeah, and they're going to. They mentioned that, but
Yeah,
they're not going to do this.
but not the illicit. Why? They're
Yeah,
scared of them. They're going to come after them.
I know, eh? Just so you know, Natalie says that we are fine.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm
Yeah.
glad, Natalie.
All right, on to our next story. This one's coming to us from Routers, and this one is down in the U.S. and the headline on it says, "Oh, got the wrong button." Come on, there we go. The U.S. lawmakers make bipartisan push for psychedelics research in defense bill.
A bipartisan group of U.S. lawmakers on Thursday pushed to include a provision allowing medical research of psychedelic drugs as part of a sweeping annual defense policy bill, saying it could help treat post-traumatic stress disorder and other ailments despite possible concerns.
These are powerful substances. I don't want to give that short shrift. Democratic Representative Alexandria, or I'm going to mess up her name, so I'm just going to say AOC, who sponsored a bill on the topic in 2019, told the Capitol Hill press conference, but they also have powerful potential as well.
Veterans
That's what
groups
people
have
find
for
out.
years been pushing for research into the potential medical benefits of psychedelics, including LSD and magic mushrooms, for the ability to alleviate the effects of PTSD and depression.
Yeah, because the U.S. government currently classifies these substances as Schedule 1, meaning they have a high potential for abuse and no accepted medical use. They are effectively impossible for scientists to study.
Republican
Now,
Representative. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay,
Republican
Representative
Representative
Dan Crenshaw. Okay.
Republican Representative Dan Crenshaw, a former Navy SEAL and co sponsor of the amendment, pointed to potential uses for survivors of sexual trauma and law enforcement officers.
The measure would direct the Secretary of Defense to conduct a clinical report on the uses of psychedelics in military treatment facilities. Crenshaw said he had spoken to Republican Speaker Kevin McCarthy and had the House leader's support for including the language of the amendment in the final National Defense Authorization Act.
I still can't find one member of Congress that's actually opposed to this, Crenshaw said. The Republican controlled House is expected to pass its version of the NDAA as soon as possible, or as soon as Friday. And then the Democratic majority Senate will pass its version. Following that, lawmakers from both chambers must negotiate on a compromise before the bill can be sent to President Joe Biden to sign it into law or veto.
Well, let's hope they come up with
Yes.
approvals in the upper house and get it on to off to the president, and
My fingers are
that
crossed.
way, yeah,
Wouldn't that
veterans
be neat?
and others can have a
That
benefit
would
of
be.
this, right?
Come on, Joe
All right,
Biden.
yeah. One more story before we go to break, and this one is coming to us from Strachan. Headline on it says that BC asking for feedback on changes to where people can consume cannabis.
Wow. As part of a broader industry outreach initiative, BC's Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch is seeking input from the cannabis industry and related stakeholders regarding plans to eliminate provincial constraints on promoting locations for cannabis consumption and to allowing cannabis consumptions on patios, with the latter limited to areas where smoking and vaping are already permitted under provincial regulations.
Currently, BC does not allow anyone to smoke or vape cannabis on a patio, even in places where they can smoke tobacco or vape non cannabis products. Provincial law also does not allow anyone to promote a place to which to consume cannabis. Municipalities and local First Nations may also have their own restrictions in place that would not be affected by any provincial rule changes.
The proposed changes would not allow for in store consumption, but are a step towards creating allowances that will allow for the formal marketing of spaces and events that could more directly cater to consumption.
BC has announced that this feedback exercise, available to stakeholders until August the 11th, is a crucial step in the gradual development of cannabis hospitality and tourism experiences in the province. Yeah, because they already came out and asked the people about lounges.
Right. Right. This gives more of those tourism
Yeah,
opportunities, I'm sure. Now, BC has been increasingly focused on the issue of consumption spaces and cannabis tourism, launching a province wide engagement paper last year. The What We Heard report from that engagement process was then released in January 2023. The report showed significant public support for consumption spaces, balanced with concerns from law enforcement and public health agencies.
good, good. Now, according to Jacqueline Pihota, the executive director of the Retail Cannabis Council of BC. The organization's members are supportive of the proposed changes regarding cannabis consumption locations in BC. However, they highlight that the members are primarily focused on several other industries' concerns and
Okay.
probably taxes.
She says our CCBC's member retailers are pleased to see the LCRB opening consultation on restrictions around consuming cannabis in outdoor spaces. Our CCBC's members are broadly supportive of leaving decisions specifically related to the appropriateness of cannabis consumption on patios to local governments. It seems reasonable that citizens and their representatives are best equipped to decide how to integrate outdoor cannabis consumption in their communities.
Meanwhile, or I mean, not meanwhile, but membership welcomes the LCRB regularly revisiting BC's regulatory framework for cannabis, and regular policy review ensures BC framework remains in step with reality of today's sectors.
Mm. So, in regard to raising the 8-store cap for cannabis retailers, Pahoda says that RCCBC is cautiously supportive as long as the government takes a careful approach that can safeguard the diverse community of small businesses that has been fostered in BC's cannabis sector and avoid the kind of downward price pressure seen in provinces that have a greater number of large discount chain stores.
Yeah, still, Bejedo says the priority for RCCBC's members is reducing the LDB's 15% wholesale markup, especially for sales made through the direct delivery program that allows small-scale BC producers to ship products directly to retailers. The LDB charges the priority fee on products that go through its centralized distribution center in Lower Mainland, as well as on products that producers sell directly to retailers without ever making their way through the central warehouse. Just so you know, Rev Kelly, on Thursday, Glenn and I we had a story where the OCS is a 45% markup, and they've just reduced that to 25.
Wow.
Yeah, and here they're talking about worrying about reducing a 15% markup.
Cheapers.
No wonder the OCS is the most profitable cannabis business.
They're so rich. Right? Jeff
Yeah.
Curtis, the owner of Borrow and Beyond in BC, which offers, among its services, dab bars for cannabis pop-up events in the province, says the proposed changes to allow the promotion of locations for cannabis consumption and to allow cannabis consumptions on patios, while modest, are a big first step towards what he sees as a more compressive approach to consumption spaces. Sure is. It's a good first step.
Exactly. He says, besides being able to mitigate public nuisance impacts, consumption spaces represent a place where government can concentrate marketing efforts to educate about overconsumption and where trained professionals can give first experiences and education to reduce adverse reactions. Aside from these, having licensable, insurable establishments and destinations to promote 19-plus events would be huge. We've seen how big events and festivals bring in local revenue and generate jobs, and opening up events or opening up cannabis would be no different. Well, as we know, we had lounges, and that's what a lot of people did. Shared first-time experiences. We're able to train or tell people how to do things.
That's right. And it's no longer allowed to do that. Now, that goes on to talk about the delivery fee. That's a little bit... They talk about the 15% direct delivery fee and an industry priority. Many producers and retailers say that they're very happy with the direction of the direct delivery program. The fact producers still have to pay this fee while also taking up the extra work of distribution has been less than ideal for the others.
Our members, our member retailers, and our associate member producers have delivered the message loud and clear that reducing the 15% markup, especially in the context of the direct delivery, is an advocacy priority. Encouraging the government to undertake the review of the wholesale fee structure has been a focus of our advocacy since the launch of the direct delivery program in August of 2022.
Saying a lower whole markup can't come soon enough for both retailers and producers. The retail organization instead recommends fees comparable to the LDB charges for craft beer producers to sell directly to retailers. In a memo the organization sent out to members earlier this month, Pahoda said that they hope to see changes to the fee structure sometime in 2024.
Now, the RCCBC continues to deliver the message that strong sectoral supports like a reduction in wholesale fees are desperately needed in BC as license holders continue to fight to win market share from the unregulated operators.
Right.
Yeah. The story goes on quite a bit. There's still lots more there, but we see that it's good to read that they are looking at making changes to where people can consume, and let's hope that that can spread across the country.
Good job, BC.
Yeah. All right. It's that time for us to take a break, right? And we'll be right back after our medical session. You're watching Psychedelic and Cannabis Educational News here on Pace Radio Network.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hey, we're back from a medication session. Actually, I'm still medicating. And you're live with Psychedelics Cannabis Educational News. Well, Rev Kelly, we've only got 4 stories.
Okay.
So we'll just take our time going through there. We got another almost half an hour. We'll be okay.
Okay.
First up, MJ Biz Daily. Cannabis operator Organogram posts a $213 million loss and frets over THC inflation.
Oh boy. New Brunswick-based cannabis grower and manufacturer Organogram Holdings posted a net loss of 213.5 million Canadian dollars for its third quarter, driven by a $191.2 million impairment loss. Wow.
Wow. The impairment charges for the quarter ended May 31st, including basically $38 million in intangible assets and goodwill, as well as $153 million in property, plant, and equipment.
Okay. A meaningful contributing factor to the conditions that led to the quantum of the impairment charge related to the impact to flower sales and margins due to THC inflation. That comes from Organogram's news release.
Now, Organogram CEO Benna Goldenberg acknowledged on a Friday earnings call that THC inflation, that's the dishonest practice of labeling cannabis products with exaggerated THC levels, is not a new phenomenon. But she added it was more widespread in the last year. As we mentioned in the previous story, there's concerns on what test results are on the labels.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, here we are again.
Exactly. Goldberg says nearly 50% of cannabis flower sales in the third quarter consisted of flower labeling as containing 26% THC or more than that. And the number of SKUs that have THC labeled values above 26% has doubled in the last 10 months. So she's claiming that they're lying about that. That they're not
Yeah,
higher than
yeah,
26%. That's interesting.
yeah, and that's where you could see that call going out for standardizing third-party testing
Yeah.
across
Wow.
the country. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, yeah. That way, the consumer is getting accurate information.
Yes.
Like I know that the last pre-rolls that I bought, I wanted to do a test on some infused. Like they were saying 36%
Yeah.
in them. Right?
And
I,
what did you think?
I didn't notice anything different.
No.
It didn't seem twice as strong as my own product.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so
I feel the same way.
yeah,
They're
exactly.
tricking
And
us.
I've lost where we were, unfortunately.
Another
Go ahead.
stat that we look at is the number of SKUs labeled above 30% grew tenfold versus last year. So now they're saying that they're doubled for 30% as well.
Yeah, wow. Goldenberg said organogram is particularly impacted by the THC inflation in the bulk 28-gram cannabis flower category. We see that there are some licensed producers who were averaging sales of flowers in the 21% to 22% range, and now they are showing 28 to 32%.
The plot thickens. This is not something that even most advanced cultivation techniques could make happen, Goldberg continued. There's something, and I think it's the increasing behavior that's really starting to impact the results.
Yeah. I have to agree with him. Goldenberg said Organogram had to cut flower pricing so we could address the value equation to consumers. She said that Moncton headquartered company is working to increase cannabis potency in a proper way with proper THC testing.
Okay, good. And at the same time, we have been talking to key stakeholders. We've been sending in comments to Health Canada. We've been talking to the provincial cannabis wholesale boards, and we've been talking to other labs and really looking at finding solutions to address the issue.
Yeah. We've been sending in comments to Health Canada. We've been talking to the provincial cannabis wholesale boards, and we've been talking to other labs and really looking at finding solutions to address this issue. You continue on, Kelly. I'm going to let the dog in instead of out.
I hear her. Organogram, which claimed a third place position in Canadian recreational cannabis for May, and its adult use net revenue grew 7% from the second quarter and to the third. Now, the total net revenue for the quarter was $32.8 million. It declined 14% from the same quarter last year and sequentially declined of 17% from Organogram's second quarter. Wow.
Goldenberg attributed the weaker quarterly financial results to lower than expected growth in the flower category, delayed in international cannabis shipments, the company's inability to sell its Edson Jolts cannabis lozenge product in light of a disputed decision by Regulatory Health Canada.
Right. Remember that?
Yeah.
They were selling 100 milligrams and they said, no more. She said in a judicial review in Health Canada's decision regarding Jolts will take place in late July. Organogram recently consolidated its shares to maintain its U.S. equity listing on the NASDAQ exchange.
Yeah, and they were one of a few companies that got the blowback letter from Health Canada.
It was such a great way to do it, though. Gum. Somebody was selling gum, lozenges. No. Slapped on the wrist, off the shelf.
But now they can turn around and say, we never received any complaints of any adverse effects.
Sure. Right. Exactly. Right.
So, alrighty, on to our next story. Headline there in High Times says Montreal shroom shop raided. Owner says we're just getting started.
Oh, here we go. An unlicensed psilocybin mushroom shop in Montreal, Quebec, in Canada was raided during its opening day on Tuesday, but the shroom shop owner says it's nowhere done with his business venture.
Yep. CTV News Windsor reports that several police officers descended on the fun guys shop hours after the company opened their first location in the province of Quebec in Montreal's Saint Marie district. The shop was raided during its opening day, so day one of the sales were not likely a secret. 4 people were arrested, police say, and their investigation into the shroom dispensary is ongoing.
Fungi sells products containing psilocybin, which remains illegal in Canada. At Fungi, shrooms are sold in 7, 14, or 28-gram bags of dried mushrooms labeled by the strains Golden Teachers, Blue Meanies, African Pyramid, Amazonian, Penis Envy, and so on. Microdose psilocybin options for most of the strains of shrooms are available as well in 50, 100, or 200 micrograms. They also sell psilocybin-infused gummies, chocolate tea, and other products. Well, I want to go to their store. They've got quite the variety there.
I know. They sure do, don't they? Oh, listen to this. Listen to this paragraph. We're just getting started. We hope that the word gets out. Edgar Gormans told CTV News. Fungi's runs 11 other stores in Ontario.
Wow.
And they plan to open more in Quebec and has locations close to Detroit, Michigan. 11 stores. I remember they opened their first one in Toronto.
Yeah.
And some people said, that won't last long. They've got 11 of them.
11 in Ontario.
And
in
Ontario alone.
Yay. So Montreal Mayor Valerie Plante says that the city would apply the law that and that Montreal police officers would be ready to act if the store were to open. Uh-oh. They're ready for them.
Montreal, they grabbed them the first day. But Montreal Police Chief Fady Daffer says officers will be keeping an eye on it following the raid. For me, as long as it's illegal, there's no way I'm going to be able to tolerate it. And I saw what he said, that he's going to keep opening after all that. We'll see in the future.
iHeartRadio reports that Gorbans spells his name in the media differently each time intentionally, and that he's aware of the risks of operating in the gray area. We have lawmakers in place for these instances, and we will take care of lawyer fees to do our work for our workers, he says. How can they be so rich? That's gonna, like, the chief of police is saying to them, we're ready for you, and this guy's saying, okay, well, I'll just pay the legal fees. Like, they're ready for a war here. Yeah. Wow.
As he says, we have lawyers in place.
Wow.
So there's retainer fees, all that stuff that are being paid and ongoing. And they're paying, and they take care of the lawyers' fees for their workers. I remember for a long time we asked that in the cannabis community when the raids were going on in Toronto. Are these people getting support?
Sure, they have to be. 4 of them arrested.
Yeah. So. Psilocybin is being explored for the treatment of depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, trauma, alcoholism, IBS, and other medical conditions. There are efforts to decriminalize psilocybin and other psychedelics in Colorado, Washington, Massachusetts, and cities throughout California.
Now, in Canada, the law is slowly changing. On August 4th, 2020, an amendment to the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act came into effect, allowing for an exemption regarding the use of psilocybin for medical purposes. This landmark decision acknowledges the therapeutic potential of psilocybin and a growing body of scientific research supporting its use in treating various mental health conditions.
Individuals seeking psilocybin treatment must obtain a medical prescription from a healthcare professional authorized to prescribe controlled substances. Yeah. It also is being explored for its benefits for people battling cancer, such as reducing the stress of MRIs, and in this case, a nearby hospital in Montreal. But as far as the process, it's there's a big issue there with the process. It's not just as easy as getting a medical prescription from a healthcare professional. No.
So Dr. Hauman Farzan treats cancer patients in palliative care with assistance from psilocybin at the Jewish General Hospital in Montreal. He's a member of the training committee for the nonprofit organization Therasil, advocating for legal access to psilocybin-assisted therapy. He says doing these sorts of experiences can bring out things that require support. And so if someone does something in an unsupported environment, these substances are amplifiers of our psyche and it can definitely cause harm. He says it has caused harm in the past. In the clinical trial setting, it has been proven to extremely safe.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dr. Hauman.
giving his opinion on things.
Yep.
Alrighty, we got a couple more to go. This one here, this next story is coming to us from CBC. I gotta say, I think it's the first time that I've read a headline or talked about a story as this one. Mobile pot shop not welcome in the town of St. Andrews. I don't know of any story I've read yet where they talked about a mobile legal cannabis store happening in Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So food trucks and summer go hand in hand in communities across New Brunswick, with at least one exception, saying this town has been a long history of not allowing even a taco truck in the downtown in St. Andrews, coming from Mayor Brad Henderson
Mm-hmm.
in the town council meeting last week.
I've seen them in pictures and stuff in Times Square in New York, and I think there was even question on their legality as well. But
Yeah.
This town has had a long history of not allowing even a taco truck in downtown St. Andrews. Mayor Brad Henderson said at a town meeting last month. So when the town received a business proposal to sell cannabis products from a mobile truck in a parking lot of the El Cool New Brunswick liquor store downtown, council's answer was unanimous.
No, no
Exactly.
way. This is not the model I envision for our community, said Henderson.
Yeah. The only cannabis NB store in Charlotte County is in St. Stephen, about 33 kilometers northwest of St. Andrews. Boy, oh boy, that's not too local, even for the guy to go to a store, never mind a mobile one.
No. In September, Cannabis New Brunswick announced plans to open 10 private retail stores in underserved communities across New Brunswick. The town of St. Andrews was chosen for an independent retailer to own and operate a private retail store to sell Cannabis New Brunswick products.
Yeah. Now you can see the store there. Get out of the way, pop up. I got a pop up that's getting in the way here. There we go. Finding a storefront to set up shop in the popular seaside resort is not an easy task. St. Andrews town clerk Paul Knopper told council it has been a struggle for the proponent to find a location in the community.
Saying, I can totally appreciate finding a storefront in downtown St. Andrew can be very difficult. Debbie Hashi, director of the corporate stores for New Brunswick, Cannabis New Brunswick, explained to council that the plan was to operate a temporary retail business from the mobile cannabis truck in St. Andrews for the summer until a brick and mortar location can be open.
Although the Crown Corporation operated a shop in the area 506 Container Village in St. John last summer, Hatchie said this would be the first mobile cannabis store in the province.
So cool. I just see a big CBC, said Councillor Lee Heenan, referred to a potential news headline. St. Andrews, first town to have a mobile cannabis truck. I don't know if that's a publicity that we'd like to see, he said.
I don't know. What do you think?
Wow.
Would you like a mobile truck in your town?
Yeah, in my backyard.
In order for the mobile cannabis truck to operate, the municipality must have to issue a temporary operation license and a peddler's permit. The only peddlers exempt from the bylaw enacted in 1985 are people selling locally grown fruits and vegetables, seafood, and people employed by a religious society peddling temperance tracts or other moral or religious publications.
Okay, so sacrament, like possible sacrament, like flour. Like I could go and peddle my flour down there now.
I was thinking of that piece of paper you got at the door.
Yeah. There you go. Hashi
Okay.
said the goal of the corporation's private retail program is to provide safe, legal cannabis across the province. Although I appreciate the creativity of trying to find a way to conduct business in St. Andrews, said Anderson. To me, this is not the path forward.
No, eh? Other council members agreed with Henderson during the council meeting discussion. I am not for a traveling truck like this with cannabis, Deputy Mayor Kate Akaji says, I'm sorry. I'm just totally against it.
Wow. Just totally. That's
Just
it.
totally.
The mayor and the deputy mayor, they're both completely against it. Okay. Daryl Ware said he opposed the precedent that it would set. He says, I just feel you're operating a can of worms for hot dogs and hamburgers and ice cream trucks and novelties. Like, what is wrong with them? They don't like
Uh,
those kinds of trucks either?
no,
Boy.
no, no. How do you turn them down and allow another one? It's not the product, it's the idea of the truck, said Hina. It just kind of strikes me like bootlegging.
Bootlegging. Wait a second. Is that chip trucks too? Are we bootlegging
Yeah,
poutine
yeah,
now? Poutine's
yeah.
bootleg.
You're bootlegging poutine in this town.
Oh my God. This is great. Councillor Kurt Gumshall also rejected the idea of a weed truck, but said there's room for a cannabis retailer to open in a different. They just don't like trucks there. They're willing
Yeah,
to have.
exactly.
That's great. Okay.
Councillor Annette Harlan also rejected the proposed cannabis truck, but is not opposed to other mobile trucks in the future. I would like to see a taco truck. Just saying.
Somebody wants a truck. Okay. Wow. I need to go see this little village here. In an interview, Henderson, the mayor, said all of the town's bylaws need to be revisited. Right now, some of the bylaws that are being updated, and there's more priorities around reform. Okay.
Yeah, he acknowledged the language used in the peddler's bylaw is quite dated and suggested it might be time for a change. That is bylaw that over the next year council will be discussing. And the spokesperson for Cannabis NB says the corporation is hopeful the private retailer will open a storefront in St. Andrews by the end of this fall.
Okay, as long as it's not in a truck, they'll get their.
Yeah, stores. I wonder if you could put it in a truck, but not be mobile. You know,
they don't
buy
like
property.
That.
No. Buy property and put it on a truck. Probably not.
Like that. No, that's bootlegging. Such a weird town. Okay.
Okay, all right. Okay, we got a few minutes here. We'll get the story in. And our next story comes to us from the Washington Post. Headline says, weed sales legal in Montana, I believe. I'm not sure. But not VA. Youngkins not interested in change.
Within days of Maryland launching a recreational cannabis market, the official in the administration of Virginia government, Glenn Youngkin, made its most definitive public statement to date on adult use cannabis sales in the state, which have been in political limbo for years, to detrimental effects, Democratic legislators, industry insiders, and law enforcement officials say. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you can tell I don't know short form of U.S. state. Governor Youngkin has stated that he is not interested in any further moves towards legalization of adult recreational use cannabis. So I wouldn't expect that during his administration. Joseph Guthrie, commissioner of the Virginia State of Agriculture and Consumer Services, said at a public meeting in late June.
Now, Guthrie's comments, which were first reported by the Daily Progress, reinforced a widely held belief among Democrats and industry stakeholders that Youngkin would seek to sidestep the issue as he raises his national profile. A spokesperson for the governor did not elaborate, noting only that retail sales are illegal and that the authority to begin building a legal recreational market rests with the state lawmakers.
The inaction 2 years after Virginia became the first state in the South to legalize cannabis has frustrated people eager to break into the cannabis industry and consumers who want access to safe, regulated cannabis products. It also left police and prosecutors navigating a proliferation of creative workarounds that have sprung out to provide intoxicating cannabis products amid legal uncertainty. So the people voted and approved for legal cannabis, and it's still waiting 2 years later for something to be done.
That's right. They're still waiting.
To even be discussed.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, are we here? Well, cannabis remains illegal under federal law. A cultural shift in acceptance of the plant and desire to eliminate racial disparities in law enforcement has seen 23 states roll back restrictions as voters embrace choice and officials welcome tax revenue. Maryland recorded nearly $21 million in retail sales in the in the week of July 1st. In the week? Wait. Maryland recorded nearly $21 million in retail sales in the week of July 1st, when it became the first state in the mid-Atlantic to launch a legal recreational market. But for now, Maryland's adult use market is in an outlier in the region. 1 week? $21 million in 1 week?
1 week. Yeah.
In 1 week there.
1 week. Yeah.
They need their weed. They need their weed. That is a call for cannabis if I've ever heard one. Oh,
I don't know
God.
how big. I don't know how big the state of Maryland is, but yeah, $21 million in 1 week. In D.C., Congress has blocked lawmakers' efforts to stand up a recreational market, and Virginia's plans to do so by 2024 has become ensnared in the state's shifting balance of political power.
That's incredible. Democrats set the goal to create a recreational market for weed in 2021 when the party held the governor's mansion and both chambers of the General Assembly. Then the voters elected Youngkin, and Republicans took control of the state's House of Delegates, where efforts from Democrats and a few Republicans to clear the way for legal weed sales have stalled out. Boo!
Boo. The House Republicans and Governor Youngkin have not been helpful in the moving cannabis policy forward in Virginia. Says Senator Adam P. Eben, a Democrat from North Virginia, who this year sponsored a bill to create a framework for legal stores for adults 21 and older.
Eben said that Virginia's best hope for setting up a legal market for recreational cannabis sales would come from Democrats seizing control of the state house following the election this fall, when all 40 state Senate seats and 100 seats in the state house will be decided.
Yeah, Democrat held both chambers of the General Assembly, and I would think we could get a bill passed. But even then, Youngkin's veto could block recreational cannabis sales in the state that has been otherwise made it legal. Just so you know, Rev Kelly, we are pretty well out of time here.
Okay.
All right.
Good story. Excellent story.
Yeah.
They love their cannabis down in Maryland.
It's be interesting. It'd be good for them to, like they say, Democrats could win both ends of the election and still have a Republican governor who could still veto it. And
I think that's going to happen.
That could happen, which is then they take away the will of the voters.
Not fair.
Something's
got to change soon.
Yeah, exactly.
We've been waiting a long time.
Anything you want to say, messages before we sign off?
Just happy Monday. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
All right. From the Legacy420.com news desk, that's our Pace News Report for July the 17th, 2023. Thanks to our buds at the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, Legacy420.com, and Limestone City Hydroponics. And in closing, we'd like to say thank you for watching. And don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.